Hello, welcome to Cosmic Love Connections with your host, Judy Jewett, co-host Catherine Lanigan. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Judy.
Why don't you tell us what we're going to talk about today?
We're going to talk a little bit more about manifesting and staying positive for the new world, the new earth, the new world, the new timeline, what it is we want with our lives. And in the process of that, what I want to say is in the process of doing all that for yourself, that's self-love too, is last time we talked about, or you brought it up, making a list of everything that is good in your life, everything that you've done, everything that's a positive thing. When you see it in front of your eyes in a list, it's interesting how it changes. It literally changes the vibrations in your head, because all of a sudden you're seeing that you are worthy, because you may be thinking that you're not worthy person, that you don't deserve something. And you start seeing a list of all the things that you've done in your life. Most of us, and I don't care if you're even, 20 years old, you've still had accomplishments. You're still alive, aren't you? You got 20 years of experience in something. I don't care if you mowed the lawn, if you learned how to shovel snow, if you learned how to plant seeds in the garden and help your mother plant a garden. All of those things are things that help you get through life even later. And the older you are, that list should be, like I said, it should be a book, because this is your life book. But it does help you focus on, when you see what you've already done, it does help you to focus on what you want, what you still want for your future. You want more happiness and more joy,
Yeah,
right?
I can tell you myself, there were times when I would get really down, like, oh, I don't have what I want. And I would sit down, and especially my time in Houston, it was highly profitable for me and success. And I could go into a technology I didn't know anything about, and I could be like one of the top salespeople, win the President's Award. I mean, all the stuff. And
Uh-huh.
or it seemed like I was always selling in the men's world, but I could always focus because I wrote down every day, how much money I wanted for that year. I could not understand any of their formulas. My brain wasn't wired that way. I
Right.
didn't want to make 30 sales calls to get 5 sales. Like, that's not how I'm wired. I just want to
Right.
go do my thing. And I could still become number one.
Yeah.
So, but writing down, I mean, that's it. And when I reminded myself of that, it's like, wow. I mean, I have really manifested some big things. I picked a
Yes.
year out one time, like, okay, well, this is da 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 year. I think that's how much money I want to make. I'll take off the first number and I'll just make this number, right? And I came very, very close to it, very close to just pulling it out of thin air, not
Yeah.
even caring where it's going to come from. Or the first business I started was floral design work, but I started selling, making crafts, and everybody can do this. It's like what I'm saying is what I'm getting ready to say. So I thought, okay, well, minimum wage then was $5. Now it's
Right. Yeah.
12 or 15. And it's like, well, I've got to make a craft and I have to at least make $5 an hour. And then it was like, well, I'll make 10, I'll make 20. And then I thought, well, if I was teaching school, I would be making X, Y, and Z. And then I got to the point, I got really good at creative because I came from within, right? Now, all I did is I decided I wanted a business, and I asked around. I didn't know what I was doing. I went and someone said, well, go get a not an LLC, but go get, whatever
Sole
your name.
propriety.
My
Yeah.
business name was some other
Doing
advice,
DBA, doing business as.
DBA. And then it was like, well, then there's these wholesale suppliers. And I thought, well, I'll just go to them. And I walked in like they're there once a month. And I just acted like I had a huge showroom. I never said that, but then I was a very established business. And that's literally how we create today. Sometimes you
That's
forget about it. You become what you want.
that's right.
And that was in the 90s. And
Yeah.
so we were doing that. And then it was like, well, if I was a XYZ, I'd be making $100 an hour. And then I started creating my own florals and, out of dry flowers, well, people would call them weeds, but they were dry flowers and
Right.
beautiful things. And they were always guided by the creator. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to make people happy. And yes, my last job, I decorated a house for Christmas, and it was $100 an hour.
Yeah.
So we all can do it. I mean, look at all the, let's talk about you, Catherine. You've written how many books?
I'm working on number 60 right now. So yeah.
Yeah, let's
Hmm.
talk about how it's worked for you. Let's share some
And
tidbits.
it's the same thing now as far as writing down. That's definitely what I do. And every year, every twice a year now, I write down what are my goals, what are my how many, not just how many books, but what kind of books do I want to write. Do I um besides that, I have 26 to 30 screenplays that I've written. So it's not just, I mean, I've always said my goal is to have published 100 books by the time I die. And I probably should have raised that at one point, but I also want to travel and do some other things too. So I don't want to just be behind the computer. I've done that a lot, but I have done the same thing. I have a notebook at the beginning. Always. That's one thing. My dad did that for New Year's Eve. And New Year's Eve, all the kids had to sit down and write down some goal that they had for the coming year that we're going to do. Was it, my both my brothers were in Boy Scouts, and one brother was Eagle Scout, and was how many badges he wanted to, get that year. He wanted to, I don't know what they call it, move up to another, level of Eagle Scout and all that kind of thing. And I had my own babysitting business, and so I I really rocked it when I was, in high school. I mean, nobody came into my territory. Nobody. I took care of all the kids everywhere. I mean, and I was booked all the time. I had a book, and I was like, my calendar was full all the time. I could fit you in between, I could do Saturday night between 7 and 10. And I can take, there's one family, I mean, they stayed out all the time till 4 o'clock in the morning. I love those people. But anyway, same thing, I put those goals down, and what I wanted to do and what I wanted for myself. Mine was usually geared for my education, or back then it was how I wanted to buy books, and books were, expensive, so I had to make the money to buy the books, that kind of thing. So I did the same thing.
Yeah, and it does start with the thought. The one thing that I realized when I did the 90s, I read a book, it's called The Little Red Book. And my brother, who
Oh.
had finished chiropractic school, and he was always reading and all this stuff, and he had given all of my kids, my 4 children and myself, a copy of this book. And I thought, well, I'll just try it out. And
Hmm.
so that's how I did it, right? And
Yeah.
I really didn't know about writing things down. My parents
Oh,
were not
really?
college educated. The parents weren't. One set of grandparents were, but the point was they didn't talk about that, like write down your goals, da 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 da. So you're very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, that was my dad. Both my parents were. My mother was a hospital dietitian, and my dad was an attorney. It was, and so they knew about writing down goals. I mean, that was something that they came into it with. So I was very lucky like that. And all four of us kids, everyone is a super achiever, because we were always writing down what we wanted to manifest for ourselves, and we also had to include our community at the time. My
Really?
father was, yes, both my parents were very community oriented. My father was, just did all kinds of things and so did my mother. My mother probably even to this day, She's doing it from heaven. She's still working with the community charities and stuff.
She
So
probably is.
yeah, she probably
That's
is.
probably her mission on the other side.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Loving
love
every
that.
minute of it too. She was good at it. She was very good at it. She's a very good organizer.
And the other thing when you're writing these things down, I mean, seriously, the things that you did that the odds were not in your favor to do,
Yes.
but your determination to
Yeah.
do it, it happened
Yeah.
because you believe. So in the higher energies, we started talking about, now I wanted to talk about 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
The guru, I don't, you want to call him guru, the person in the Himalayas, well, I think he was in the India exactly. He was he happened, I don't know, I think he must have looked American because these were a bunch of Americans that went and worked for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
The research, I should tell you that.
Yeah.
And he had developed the how to materialize from one place to another.
Oh, I love this. This is
Now,
great.
when you are in 7D, you know, it's time to like relearn how to do these things, but
Mhm.
you know, you can do that. That's the advantage, you know. So I want to go a little bit about, so we've talked about creating, remembering the magnificent things you did that were against all odds. And I have many stories like that. So,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, that's my
Absolutely.
taking a lemon, turn it into lemonade. But I want to talk about the dimensions because a lot of people watching this are already in the 5D. They're
Oh,
already
absolutely.
attracted to the cosmic love connection, right? They already
That's
know.
correct.
So I do want to say something, and that you're going to have to think long and hard about it. But 5D is sandwiched between non-dual and dual.
Right.
So it's we worked, Catherine, we worked very hard to get to 5D. And a
Yeah.
lot of people have, and they've experienced a lot of stuff. But 5D is just the beginning.
That
And
is
you're
correct.
going to ascend, and we can talk about what does that mean. And that's one reason I'm reading the books about the masters. I'm thinking, I got all this fun stuff to look forward to, right? You know, you can transport, what is it called? Not self, teleport. You're going to be able to
Teleport and then bilocate.
bilocate, materialize what you want, because in those higher dimensions, you practice those things and you can do it. And it's not mind control. It's not being hypnotic like some people want to go
Right.
still a lower frequency. It's not that. 5D, you're not going to do it. And yes, at 5D, you may have your heart open. And I can remember several times my heart was completely open at 5D, but it didn't stay.
Okay.
It didn't stay because you still have to go in and work on your core issues. You got to remember, healing for the last 30 years plus years has not been core healing. It's all been, look at therapists, we're going to peel an onion.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit at a time. And I say, hell no, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
We're done with
We
peeling.
did that. We
We
did
did
that.
that, done that. We're done. So
Yeah.
5D, you guys, that if you know, I need to actually compile something with 5D, 6D, because there absolutely is a difference being in 6D. So,
There is.
and so what everybody that's listening that knows they're in 5D, then it's time to go higher because Gaia
Right.
is in 6D. So
Yes.
you want to be able to be where she is because she's, you know, her soul has already ascended. But when the whole platform of who, because Gaia has a higher consciousness, just like we do.
That's right.
Gaia has an expanded consciousness. Gaia has a lot of the same DNA that we have.
Right.
And so, you know, that's one reason that there's all this stuff that's happening, because everything that is not pure love is coming to the surface.
That is correct.
And
And it's
it's
coming
gotta
a
go.
lot this summer too.
Yes.
this is the summer for it to happen because we are going to 60. I know people that are in 7 and 8D already. So they're there. I mean, it's not, this is not out of the realm of possibilities. You know, some people think, oh, we're just, daydreaming. No, this is happening. This is real, you know?
This is real. And what also is real, that even when you're in 6, you might fall back into 5. And when you're 7, you have that ascension. And it is a choice when you are at 7 to move on because you've ascended, or stay here. And if you stay here because your mission is still going on, or you just want to stay here, right? Then you're going to still experience 6 and 7. You won't stay completely in 7 because you're still.
No, you just, yeah, because if you're doing a mission, you're still gonna drop down at times to do whatever the mission work is, and then you go back. So and that's great, that's, we need those angelic beings, or that frequency, to come and help us out.
We do. And now back to the 7 is when you become non-dual. So if you
Right.
drop back, so I want to talk about that for maybe you haven't thought, if the listeners or viewers may not have thought about it, but
Right.
in 7D, when you become non-dual, that when you are totally non-dual, then you won't have a negative thought.
No, correct.
You will not get angry. You can't view anything as negative. It's not
Right.
a part of who you are.
Who you are.
You
There's
are.
no hatred. There's no hatred. There's no judgment. There's no jealousy, anger, nothing. There's nothing there.
There's
It is
nothing.
just, yeah, that's right.
And the closest I've come to it so far is when I was at the monastery last December, and I had the healing where my soul removed whatever was left of any negative beliefs or thoughts, whatever it was. And then this gold light came in, and then I don't know, I was
Wow.
meditating with the monks and the nuns and all this, and I had this it's like it took several days for all this to go through, but my heart was so open that the thought of even thinking of anything that wasn't of love was not a part of where I was.
Right.
It's not. So yeah, I got to experience it. However, I'm still living in this world where,
Right.
and we're still learning and growing, right?
Right.
So I would expect you, Late, that you're just in that beingness all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thich Nhat
Yes.
Hanh teaches his 5, mindfulness, which I keep mentioning, is your words, what you say, how you comment, being
Right.
now. And so they're training to ascend. They're training
Yes.
because when you've accomplished all 5 of those things, seriously, and you are at that higher frequency, it's just so much easier just to let go and be.
It is. Just let go and be. I mean, there's no place for you here, in where we are right now. When
For the
you're
lower
in
energy.
that place, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get to have moments of it. So we know how spectacular it is.
It is.
We're saying you don't have to be perfect.
No,
Don't
that's
have,
not what we're saying.
and you don't, it's not about being perfect. It's not about, it is a continual self-love. And I do believe that's because we're living this human experience.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
And, right. But it's when the higher your vibration goes, that you're not affected by the lower frequency, as you don't attune to it, right? It's like,
Yeah, yeah, you just don't attune to it, or you don't notice it. You're so into that higher frequency that it just kind of rolls off your back, or it just doesn't get there. The waves don't even come in, It's just, you're just it's a different dimension. It's a different place. And so the frequencies and everything that are in the 5D and then the 6D and the 7, it's a different place.
It
And
is.
it's lovely.
So I would like to encourage everyone that is listening, watching. You may completely understand what we're saying and say, "Oh yes, I've had that. I do that." That's beautiful and wonderful, and keep it up. And if I'm talking to people that feel that they're in the 5D, then you still get stuck. I mean, you can still be in the higher frequencies and not take always the right action because you drop, right? We've already said that you drop,
Yeah.
but it's okay. And to go from 5 to 6 and to go into the higher 6, you've got to go in to the core wounds,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the deepest ones.
They're the deepest ones with the most scar tissue.
Yeah, like I was talking to you before we started recording.
Right.
And that one, when that one came up, and you remember these things, but you forget it, right? It's like it's not
Yeah.
on it. But I was activating parts, some of my genetics, some of my DNA codes, some of my strands were getting activated. And I was using my healing modality, which makes a huge difference in helping. And then I finished the 4th step, and that was when I saw all of these gold streams of light come into my third eye.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another one I did, it brought in the rainbow, all the rainbow lights. And
Yep.
so if that can happen for me, it can happen for everyone.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
We
Yep.
all can bring in all the streams of gold light. We can
Yeah.
that connected. We can absolutely bring in, because a lot of people, when you cross over, it's always about, well, you take on your rainbow light again, right?
Right.
But it's with us now.
Yes, it is.
You have access to everything. So now when you're going through these trials and tribulations and you think, well, who am I going to listen to? What am I going to do? And things are so intense, breathe, like Catherine said, breathe, and there are things you can do. There are things to do that
That's a good point to bring up, is because, when I am doing the breathing, and I don't spend a lot of time with this. I watched a podcast the other day. I said, you don't need to spend hours and hours doing this. 10 minutes, 10 minutes every day, breathe. And I do see the rainbow lights coming in. I see the gold coming in and flooding, literally flooding my body and all my fields. So my fields, and then seal your fields against anything that you need to seal them. But bring it in. It's yours. It's there for us. When they say it's yours for the taking, why wouldn't you want God's universal love coming in? Sure you would. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And I do feel one of the most frustrating thing for most people is you have the spark or the soul, you have that's more common, but
Yeah.
you don't know how to access it.
Yeah.
Or you access it, but you don't know how to access it on demand. You don't know. And then you cloud it with all of the stuff. You're late at night, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, and you just got a whiff of some energy that's probably going to cloud you that night of your sleep.
Yeah.
That's the other thing you have to become aware of. So this is what we all have to look forward to. So when we know that this is the summer for all summers, we know the fall is going to be, either way, it is going to be intense.
Intense. It's going
I
to be
just
intense.
see this split, this division. And
So I'm right there. I want to take this split, and there's not a division. It is all brought together, and we are all together, and all are one. And we finally, I'm going to bring this up right now because it needs to be brought up. The Pluto return that the United States is going through we have been going through it for 3 years. And the Pluto in Capricorn breaks down all the old systems, governments, corporations, everything that was old and doesn't serve us anymore, whether it's the banking, but it affects everything, not just the good guys, but all the bad guys too. It breaks them all down. Okay. So, but Pluto is leaving us. It comes, and the United States is going through its own Pluto return, 4th of July. It is leaving us this fall. It's never to come back again for 280 years. Okay. So we are getting back what the founding fathers wanted, what we wanted, democracy and freedom. We're going to get it back because all the destruction's been done. So now we are going to rebuild, and all of it's going to come back to us where we were on our birthday in 1776. I just want to say that.
Wherever we were on our birthday?
1776, the country.
Yeah.
We were there writing the Declaration of Independence. We were there with our Constitution, what they believed in. I got a calendar the other day that has all the founding fathers on it and one of their best sayings. And I went through there and read them, and I started crying because we've all forgotten what they said. We've all forgotten what they went through. We forgot, we don't pay attention to our own history. And, like Billy Carson says, if you don't understand your history and you don't know where it is that we came from and what we did, you can't understand today. And we need to go back to the American Revolution of what we stood for and what we did and what our forefathers said and did and what that meant, that Declaration of Independence, what that meant, that freedom that this country has. One nation under God, one nation, not a divide, brought together.
And as you're talking, I see the light coming through. And so it was already divided, and the light has come through, and I see all these beautiful flowers and creating exactly, and it's not, it is freedom. It's about freedom.
It's freedom.
It's freedom. And
to be ourselves, to finally know what our power is. It's we the people. It doesn't say we the Democrats or we the Republicans. It says we the people. We the people have the power, and we have freedom. We have freedom of choice. God gave us that. This is one nation under God. It is a great place to be. And we've all forgotten that. Everybody's been so down on America. Well, you know what? Get back up on it. You don't like it? Leave.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, I get what you're saying. So you're exactly right. Wouldn't hurt us if everybody every day read the Declaration of Independence.
It wouldn't hurt a thing, it wouldn't hurt a thing. What happened to the Pledge of Allegiance? So there you go. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th. Well, this is, yes, but happy late 4th of July, because
late 4th of July with this show. Yeah.
This will be, a couple weeks after the 4th.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
But we should be feeling some of those great feelings of what a really wonderful nation we have, and where we are and what we can do. Manifest. Think about it. Use those positive thoughts. Manifest are all coming together and having that earth, that United States that we've all worked for, love for, and many of us have died for. My father was in the World War II, and my grandfather in World War I. They had their hearts in this country. Let's put our hearts back in it too.
Put our hearts back in there and see. So when the fear was welling up, you want to send love. You want to
send love
to whatever you happen to be doing, whatever you hear, whatever is going on. The greatest gift you can give another being is love.
Is love.
It
certainly is.
Not worry, not fear.
Right. Love.
And with that, it is time for us to go. So another episode with Cosmic Love Connections with Catherine and Judy. Thank you.
Thanks.